Hi everyone, welcome to a new podcast series called Tice's Tech Track. Some of you might know me as Tice from TravelingTice, which is a YouTube channel in which I mostly did travel videos. But I sort of changed paths a little bit, and decided to chase another dream of mine, which is building online businesses with the help of tech. Because I'm a web developer, I learned this skill for about 5 or 6 years at this point, and I still kind of wanted to share the journey in some kind of way, and that's why I decided to make this podcast series. I'm not sure where I'm gonna post this yet. I just wanted to get like the ball rolling, or I just wanted to start documenting because right now is really when I'm gonna start on this journey of building an online business, or just working a lot more with tech and those kind of things. I didn't really feel like putting these on the TravelingTice channel because TravelingTice is really travel related, and this is more tech/business related. There's gonna be some travel topics as well. But most of those are going to be correlated with tech, which is also this first episode. So yeah, I'm very excited for this journey ahead, and I'm not really entirely sure yet, like the length of this podcast, like how long each episode is going to be, as well as like the frequency in which I'm going to crank them out. Like I have a few ideas right now. But I guess it sort of depends on the kind of ideas and topics that I will find interesting to talk about as, sort of my journey goes on. Because I'm really just at the start of this journey at the moment. I spent the last 7 months editing travel videos in my free time. Of course, I'm working a job. It's a part-time job, though, not a full-time job. It used to be a full-time job for the better part of 2 years. And then I went part-time, when was that? Last year, in March last year. So I've been part-time for a year and a half. Did a lot of travel during that time. And then for the past 7 months, I've been editing those travel videos. So I never really had the time to really start on this business venture. And right now I do have that time. And so, I sort of, kicked off a new period in my life, so to say. And this podcast is going to be a part of that. Another funny thing is the name of the podcast is Tice's Tech Track, which is part of like what we're going to talk about in this podcast. But I sort of found that name through ChatGPT. Just asked it, like, I'm going to start a podcast. Do you have like a name? Like sort of like a brainstorm session with AI. And it was actually one of the suggestions that came out of it, like when I explained a bit about where I came from and what I want to do, was Tice's Tech Track. And I was like, that's a really cool name. And the reason why, and I did not know this is only something that I knew, and maybe some of you might know as well, is my old bicycle, or not really old bicycle, just my touring bicycle that I rode around Europe with back in 2018. So like I was straight out of high school. I didn't want to pursue a degree in university. I just decided to travel. And at the time I was very inspired by bicycle touring. So I decided to do this. And the first bicycle that I really started to get serious with, I had a few bicycles before that, but I really that really kicked off my cycling journey, was the Trek 520. I guess Trek is just the bicycle brand name now that I realize it. They just called it like the Trek 520, which I think is pretty cool. That like this suggestion came out, like Tice's Tech Trek, and Trek as in, it's a bit of a journey as well, like just in a bit of a different way, But this Trek was like a nice reference to my old bicycle, which was the Trek 520, I believe. I might be wrong on that name. Like, I really don't know anymore. By the way, that bicycle is still somewhere in Australia. There will be a day where I'm going to pick that up. But yeah, I'm currently living in Taiwan, by the way, which is also pretty interesting. I'm living here with my girlfriend in this tiny little apartment. And this is basically the only angle that looks semi-good. So if you're watching this on, I don't know, wherever I'm going to post this, it might be a YouTube channel, it might be I'm definitely gonna post this on Patreon, on my old Patreon page. So you can definitely find it there, and I'm not gonna put it like a payment barrier behind it. You can just go to patreon.com and like follow me on there. But yeah, if you're watching this, then you'll see like me and a bit of like a curtain on the background, which is like the only nice angle or corner that my messy room has at the moment. But that's beyond the point. So yeah, I'm doing this podcast to sort of document my travels, my journey in like tech and developing applications and that sort of stuff. And in this episode, I want to talk about AI, because I think that AI is going to be a big part of this journey for me, or at least it has already played a big part in my work. First of all, as we've pretty much all seen or heard about this AI trend. And I would say that some of it is still kind of like like a hype. There's definitely a lot that has yet to be proven, but people are like hyping about it, like can be huge, that sort of stuff. But there is definitely a part of it which is very valuable. And so after I finished editing my travel videos, I took about a month or so to really dive into the AI world in my free time. Because I thought that would be a good preparation for when I'm really going to start working on my own business and that sort of stuff, that I really wanted to just have it like a know of how to say, like have a lay of the land, like have sort of like a know about, this AI world and how it's currently playing out. It's a very fast changing world. It's pretty insane, actually. Like I was learning about one aspect, and then this was right around the time when OpenAI did a new keynote. So they introduced custom GPTs, and I was still learning about like the basics, and then there was like these custom GPTs which are gonna like change the whole industry again. And like I dove into custom GPTs like right when I was still working on this other stuff, and I had some app ideas, but half of those app ideas were basically obsolete because of custom GPTs. So this is like, it's a crazy fast moving. I mean, you could kind of call it an industry, but I'm not sure if it's really an industry just yet. But there's definitely some things that I have taken away from this that I think are going to be very much of value, and that are already of value, especially in my work. By the way, during this podcast, I'm going to be a bit techy. So it's going to be a lot more tech jargon than I might even myself be used to, because I'm used to just making traveling videos. But anyways, so at my work we use GitHub, and I myself use VS Code as my code editor when I'm working with my code. And I also use this for my own projects, by the way. And in there, like GitHub Copilot is a very big help, which is like basically a smart autocomplete. So it's really good at predicting the kind of things that you want to write. It's not great. I wouldn't say that it's fantastic. It definitely doesn't recognize certain patterns that you might have in your own code base. Like it's mostly just very general suggestions. So I think there's still a lot to be learned there about, sort of like customer or not customer, but like company code base conventions that it just doesn't take into account at all. But it does sort of take it into account if you have like certain tabs open. It becomes smarter if you have different tabs open in your terminal or in your editor, which is very interesting. Like I would think that would not, because I really like to have my tabs closed. Like I just have the tabs open of the parts in the code that I'm working on, but that just wasn't like, that for Copilot it's not a great thing. And so, you can assist it with like writing a comment of what you want to write, and then Copilot will sort of guess. But sometimes I write like a very nice comment about what I want to get, and I feel like this is something simple that Copilot could do, and then it just doesn't do it. So there's definitely still some things that need to be learned. But what I've noticed is that it just really enhances my productivity. But mostly it's just like a smart autocomplete, so it's not much more than just that. So conclusion is AI is not yet taking us over, but it might at some point, like who knows. So yeah, at my work I've definitely noticed it, and also like even in video editing, which is what I've been doing for the past 7 months. I haven't really looked into AI tools for video editing, but There's actually one thing I did use it for, which was subtitle generation, which was very accurate. I used an app called CapCut. And by the way, I'll probably listen back to this podcast and put all of the links in the description or show notes. I've heard like show notes is like a fancy way to say description, I guess. But yeah, I'll put all of these links in there. So you've got, what I just mentioned, GitHub Copilot, which does cost money. That's like 10 US a month, I think, if you use it personally. And through your company, it's through your company. So then you can use it for free, basically. And then there's CapCut, which is a free app you can download on your phone. And on there, how I use it is I just load in the video, and then there's this option called auto-generate subtitles, and then it auto-generates those. And it's actually very accurate at that, even if the audio isn't great, which is pretty amazing. So that's been a huge time saver in terms of video editing. But I'm not sure. I have done a bit of research on this, but I have not really found a AI tool that can really just edit your videos, which would be the dream for me, because I hate editing videos. Even later when I'm going to go through this podcast, I just know that I don't like that process of going through stuff or going through that's, footage. I just don't like doing it. I really like coding. Like for some reason, that's like a creative process that really turns my brain on, and I can do that for hours on end. But editing, I cannot do for more than, I would say, an hour maximum on end. Like I need to take a break after that, which is pretty funny. So anyways, yeah, so there is a lot of AI currently going on, and I do feel like it's going to change the world in many ways. There's going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be obsolete, but I wouldn't say that it's going to take over in any ways. Like I think that for the most part, it's going to be AI together with humans working together. And that's how I usually use AI. Like I usually, even for planning a trip, which I admit, I use ChatGPT to plan my next trip to Vietnam in 2 weeks. But I didn't tell it to really plan it out to the core. I just said can you give me a framework? So I'm gonna be away for 4 days. Can you generally give me tips on what I should do every day? And then it sort of lay out, okay, on this day you should do that, on this day you should do that. And I just kind of use it as a framework. So there's also some other AI tools that I feel like really are great for this type of work, where you, for example, just sketch out a website. So you just okay, this is where the logo is going to be. This is what's going to be on the website. It's just a general structure. Draw it, sketch it. There's this draw a UI, which is very new, and it's I think only a week old now. And it will turn that into code. It will turn it into working HTML. It will use Tailwind CSS and JavaScript, I think, for even some functionality or interactability, which is really, really great. But I'm not scared of it, because I do know that in order for a product to stand out, you need to put in some soul. And I don't think that AI can do that yet. It can get something to work very quickly. That's true. But to me, that feels like that's just a mundane task, right? Figuring out how the JS sort of works. That's the stuff that, if you could automate that, it wouldn't be a big deal, because that means that you can have more time for putting the soul into your product, which AI cannot do. So that's at least my view of it at this point. Some other things that I researched during this time was sort of just different type of AI tools that I could use for my business. There are some really cool ones like Jasper AI, I think, which is just generating copywriting. And then there's also Tome, which makes presentations for you. So you can just make a presentation about this, and it will make a presentation about that, or it will do a guess, and then you can sort of edit it along the way. And as I already mentioned, draw a UI. So all in all, again, to reiterate my point, I just think that these tools are going to help you get set up quicker. So they're just going to help you to get a lay of the land in whatever, I would say, in whatever category you work in, as long as you work in something that's creative or something with technology. well, it sometimes can help you with fixing your bike or fixing your motorbike or fixing something in your house. Because ChatGPT now has this function, which is only for the paid version, to be fair, where you can send in a photo and then you can ask it about whatever like you're seeing, which is pretty cool. But again, it's just something that will get your things done quicker, and I don't think that that's a bad thing, because that means that you have more time to do the things that actually make you stand out, and I think that's the best thing. So, like potentially, or you could still live without AI and sort of do all of these things manually, if you still put in the soul. But it's going to get a lot harder, because if you learn to work with AI, then you can really shrink down that time, and then you can have way more time to put your soul into something that if you do everything manually, you'll just not have enough time in the day to catch up with someone who does, if that makes sense. So that's, I think, one area in which AI can help. It can just speed up your process. Another area in which I think AI is going to help is it's going to make things accessible for people that wouldn't otherwise do it. And what I mean by this is, for example, for me personally, I have a few things I really dread, which is like writing copy text. I hate doing that sort of stuff, and now I can let AI do it. So, meaning that right now I can sort of focus on, I mean, before you could also do this as well by just hiring someone to do it, I guess. Like doing the things that you don't like to do, like writing copyright in my situation and stuff like that. Now that has become a lot easier, meaning that I can actually maybe even do a business that involves a lot of copywriting, but I could sort of delegate that to AI. So I guess the only difference is that like it's gonna cost a lot less than if you were hiring a freelancer. You were already accessible to do it, but now it's gonna become a lot easier. So one, it's gonna be make yourself a lot more productive in the field that you already work in, and two, it might open up new opportunities in new fields. One of which is what I'm looking into, which is buying a business. So there's this website called flippa.com, which I found very interesting. You can like buy a online business. So you can like buy a website, and I guess like you will host it yourself after you bought it or something like that. Like it's your responsibility or something like that. But that website already is proven to, in most cases, is proven to already have some like income generation behind it. And it goes like very entry level. Like you can buy a business I saw for like $700, and it's already making around like $50 a month or something like that. But that will be so cool. Like I don't necessarily need to know much about the market that this company or this business is working in. I can like sort of buy it up and then let AI, like ask AI, okay, what, do some market research for me. And there's this other thing that I found, which are like AI agents, which is kind of like the concept of self-prompting AI. So basically you give it a role, for example, do market research in XYZ industry, and then it would prompt itself. So it would first find, of course, the prompts that it needs to make that work. And then it would just like have like a step plan. There's this website called God Mode AI, I think, which sort of does that. Now, out of personal experience, this doesn't always work great. It can get into loops. It's buggy. Actually, I never really had a case where this worked successfitly. I remember doing this for like a specific industry. Like I wanted to have it like do some market research, and then it just failed. Like it basically, it was very funny. Like in the end, like it produced like a text file with like top 10 players in XYZ industry. And then it listed the source of this YouTuber or this person, like this influencer, because I wanted to have like what his main channel was, like YouTube or blog or something like that. And I wanted to have the amount of followers this person had, and of course the name. But then forgot the name. So I just had like a list of YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and some random numbers in the end. Might have been a mistake on my end, like I didn't prompt the AI good enough or something like that. But that was kind of funny. But I think that that's really cool, right? Like you can sort of delegate a lot of that sort of stuff to the AI now, and indeed sometimes maybe even work in industries that don't know a lot about, or that you don't know a lot about yet, but you want to learn from. Like you want to learn from, or in that industry, you want to learn how it works. So yeah, that's very exciting. I think that's now possible, and in the same way, what's now also possible is that you can now learn things a lot easier. Like you can learn to code by asking simple questions about, like, just explain this to me as a child. I do this all the time, even in my industry. There are a lot of areas within like the web development or just the software industry that I don't know anything about. And I feel like AI can really help out with just like explaining very simply about how certain things work. So AI is awesome. And I do believe that there's going to be a part 2 of AI, or the state of AI. I might call this this podcast episode. Last thing I want to touch on, I'll quickly check how long I've been working on. Okay, it's been 22 minutes. I kind of want to keep my episodes between 15 and 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to wrap this one up. I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope you got something out of it. AI tools, there's definitely going to be a part 2. Because I definitely feel like I haven't really dove into some other things I wanted to talk about, which was, for example, building my own AI. But this is actually something that I'm going to be doing over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be working a bit more about building my own AI. So it might actually already be the next episode that I'm going to be doing a AI part 2. Yeah, I think that will be kind of cool. So thanks again for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm also not posting this episode right now. I first want to do a couple episodes. And then I'm going to burst upload the first like 5 of them. So I'm going to have like one every day to sort of onboard the people. If there's going to be any people listening. I mean, I'm not really going to push this one too hard. It's mostly just for me documenting my journey and helping me in sort of getting aligned all the things that I learned throughout this journey. But it might be of value for some people. So I'm definitely going to promote this on my own YouTube channel and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a bit disjointed, bit of an introduction and a bit of AI. But that's how you learn. You learn through doing these podcasts over and over again, or just learning anything. It's reps. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.